Hello, hello. Welcome to the 5Talents podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. I interview the top commercial real estate investors and industry experts so you can learn from their experiences. So if you're an investor, a high W-2 earner, or real estate or tech sales professional that wants to invest in real estate without having to manage properties or leave your day job, then this podcast is for you. Or if you're already investing in real estate, but you're doing it part-time and you want to become a full-time multifamily or full-time commercial real estate investor, this podcast is for you too. You're going to learn a ton. You will learn from real-life multifamily investors and other professionals in the industry. They're going to share their blueprints for success, and I'm super excited that you're here. So I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, hello. This is Abel Pacheco, your host for the 5Talents podcast. We are super excited today. We have an amazing guest, one of my good friends, good buddies, and also partner. So I'm excited to have you, Mr. Salazar. What's the word, man? Thank you for joining.
Thanks, Abel. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, doing good. I'm glad to have you here. Super excited because I heard your journey, your story of I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, a year ago. And I think we've known each other just a little bit over that. Just been always super motivated, super inspired to know that somebody, your age, for those that aren't listening, a young, very young guy is crushing it. And I'm the old guy. I'm like, man, if Adrian could do it, I could do it. And nothing, not talking about your skill or your ability. It's just literal age. I'm like, man, I should be getting after this. And so it's always inspired me. So I just want to tell you, thank you very much, man.
Thanks.
So while I'm on age, how old are you, bro?
25.
I
just turned 25 in August.
Yep.
So for those of y'all youngsters on Mr. Pacheco's podcast, you could do it too, guys. You could do it too. It requires a lot more work, but you can do it too.
And the old guys, be inspired.
Yeah.
You could do it, man. So let me at least give a little bit of background. We know who Adrian is. Really, Adrian's, like you said, pretty young guy, but man, he's been hustling since like 16 or 17. He started in direct multi-level marketing, which a lot of great skills, abilities, traits are needed. One, to get in it, and then to have success doing that. You end up learning through multi-level marketing because of the business. They teach you a lot of, personal motivation. You learn a lot of self-development, along the way, because you're basically pushing yourself to make things happen. But he, was introduced to his virtual mentors at an early age. So he's learning from guys like Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, probably a bunch of people that are, on the internet and kind of, feeding him that information. He developed that mindset early on to be very successful. Now his multi-level company went out of business. So he had to search for other ways to really, to find out how to have that success. And, it led to real estate, and the guy's done about 7 deals, multifamily, 160 something doors, and on to even more, and has had some pretty big 6-figure checks already, single transaction deals. And you're like, man, that is crazy. And, you had a pretty good run from single family to now multifamily in a very quick, very short period of time. And so, man, thank you very much for joining.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, brother. So,
for sure.
Let me turn it over to you. Tell us about yourself. We'd love to hear, how you got started, and anything else that you think is relevant. And then we'll kind of jump into where you're doing today. We'll back up into it.
Sure. Yeah. No, Adrian Salazar, guys. Thanks again, Abel, for the invite. Started off at a young age, getting introduced, like Abel was talking about, to people like Robert Kiyosaki, Jim Rohn, Bob Proctor, Napoleon Hill, all those guys at an early age that really allowed me to, form this mentality that I still, use today. And it's the reason why I am where I am right now. But the company went out of business, and I saw, I was in San Antonio because I was looking at other options, right? I mean, I went from making like $4,000 or $5,000 a month to zero overnight. So saw on a Facebook ad that Robert Kiyosaki was going to be in town, one of his Rich Dad, Poor Dad events. And I was like, hey, I know that guy. I know that guy because of the studying I had done. And I showed up. Robert Kiyosaki wasn't there. All they were talking about real estate investing. They were talking about pre-foreclosures. They were talking about, tax properties, vacant properties, how you could wholesale properties and make, a bunch of money. And I clicked and I went up to a couple people in the room. They recommended me to a RIA. And in that RIA was where I met my amazing mentor, John. And from then on, I started working for free for him. So he gave me a few things to do, started finding some ways to generate leads because I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have tens of thousands of dollars to go and flip a property or even put, money up for a hard money loan. So I had to, but I had time. Right. And so I worked with what I had. And I would go, cold calling, door knocking. I would find deals, set up appointments for these guys, and I would go and learn what they were saying in the appointments, right? So I would set them up with deals to learn the business. And so did that for about a year and a half before I got my first check. Although we were, making $20,000, $15,000 on deals, I didn't care. I wanted to learn. And that's lifelong knowledge, And so did that for about 3 years. Really, there was a time where we had, an awesome acquisition system. I love acquisitions, by the way. Acquisitions is my thing. It's what gets my blood boiling, blood going. Still to this day, I just, instead of single family, now I'm doing multifamily, but it's still the same concept. So we ran, a pre-foreclosure, system that we had like 10 knockers. I was helping manage all these knockers. So definitely got introduced also early on when I was 18, 19, using virtual assistants, systems and CRMs. So it definitely helped me a lot. But there was really no way out. I would close a deal, make 20,000, and then I had to go out and find the next one. Right. It was very transactional based. So, I love traveling. I love, going to different parts of the world and, just doing whatever I want with whoever I want. And it was not going to let me achieve that doing transactional real estate. So that's when I started looking into multifamily, and me and my business partner, send out some campaigns the same way we were doing in single family. Like really, we just bought a list and we skip traced it a little bit and we sent out some cards and we started getting some traction. So we were like, hey, this is pretty cool. And so we took a couple courses and, made some offers, and some, got accepted, some didn't. And the ones that did get accepted, we wholesaled them. So we wholesaled about 5 deals before we bought our first apartment complex. So, that definitely helped me kind of see, the process, see, the lending side, what titles needs for, a multifamily deal. It was a little bit different than a house. So, we felt very comfortable coming into our first 16 unit syndication, raised about 180K. And we bought it for about 500,000, and it's actually getting sold right now for close to 900,000. So we were able to increase the value about 400K. All of our investors are extremely happy. And then 6 months later, we bought a 32 unit apartment complex, raised the money, raised about 400,000. Property's doing great. We bought it for $1 million. Now it's worth 1.7. So we raised the value about 700,000. And then 4 months later, we bought a 9 unit owner financed. Great deal. We bought it for 400,000 and it's worth 650. So, I loved the model too of the value increasing. So that's, the forced appreciation that you can do on multifamily buildings that you can't really do on single family. So I got sold, the minute day one that I got introduced to multifamily. Mm-hmm. And we still wholesale a few multifamily deals today. We've done about 3 6-figure deals. And so, I'm excited to keep doing more and keep growing. And, Abel and I are going to be partnering on an 88 unit acquisition here soon too. So we're all pretty fired up about that, but, that's kind of what we got going. I'm always looking for deals. So that's kind of what I do and who I am.
I love it. There's so many things I took like half a page worth of notes already. So there's a few things, right? You worked for a mentor for free is one of the big ones that I heard. Backing up even, you saw an ad for a real estate conference. You knew it was Kiyosaki. Let me go check it out. Most people just stop there and they look through Facebook and social and they go, it's one of those seminars. That's a waste of money. All they're going to do is talk at the front of the stage, and that's how they make money. You went. So that was number one.
Yeah.
Uh, did you think it was going to like change your life at that point, or how did you view that?
No, I wanted to meet Robert Kiyosaki. Like I wanted to meet Robert Kiyosaki because he had made a huge impact in my direct marketing career.
Okay. Yeah.
And the cash flow quadrant, the
Yeah.
rich dad, poor dad concepts.
Okay.
And
So
so I was
you
like,
had
hey, I want to
already
go
read
speak
the
to
red
this
and
guy.
purple books. Yeah, you
Yeah.
already read
Yeah.
them, right? And yeah, he wasn't there. I did the same. It sounds like you didn't sign up for the package though.
I mean, I didn't have
You
money.
didn't have
I
any
didn't have
money,
money.
right?
Yeah, I was a college student.
I love it. And you like, grilled it out. I don't know if this is the right word. You muscled it, hustled your way in to kind of learn and work with somebody that was already doing what you wanted to go do. And then you work for free. So there's a couple of steps there. If you're listening and like, I don't know if I should go to that conference, I'm like, go, because Jim Rohn is one of the guys that speaks to me a lot, the virtual mentors. And one of the ones is, man, you can't expect doors to be open if you don't knock. You've got to knock. You've got to open the door is open. Now you've got to walk through, and you've got to put yourself in a place that you can actually reap those rewards. If you don't sow, you're never going to reap. And part of the sowing is go to the conference, make the call, talk to somebody new, offer to work. And that's your effort of sowing. And then, Adrian, you reaped. So tell us about that first experience. How long was it? 6 months, a year, more or less? What was that?
Sure. So I did my first deal probably 6 months into meeting my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I didn't get paid. I didn't get paid
But
for it.
did you work like a couple hours a day or long weekends, or what was it like?
Yeah. I mean, I was taking about 18 hours of college classes. And I was studying, I was in the College of Architecture. And by the way, I graduated with a construction degree. So I was in that program.
Nice.
And so, I mean, 18 hours of courses was a lot. So I had to really kind of, work in between. But I was, still finding time, right? I mean, I was finding any time I had on the weekends. I also had a job. I was working in a construction firm with my current business partner right now. So it's kind of how I met him. But was working until like 5, and then I would get a list of pre-foreclosures, and after 5 I would knock until the sun went down.
Okay.
So I mean, I was trying to
Yeah.
find any time. I mean, this is a lot of this stuff you could do through your computer. So I was in my classes working. I was finding some time because I saw the checks that people were making, and they weren't any different than me,
Yeah.
I was like, dude, if they can do it, I can do it. And I'm going to do it fast. So, I mean, I failed fast, and I think that's what allowed me to learn very quick.
That's awesome. So your construction degree, where'd you get your degree from?
UTSA.
Man, that's so awesome. So I graduated from UTSA in 06. There was no real estate program. I've talked to more than a few younger individuals under 30. And I've heard more and more often, I got my degree in real estate. I'm like, man, I wish they would have had that then. But that's so cool. You got it. And then you were working probably internship jobs, whatever, to get that experience. And then you were applying it. So, there was more than just that action. There was high school to college, real estate focused, go work. I mean, you immersed yourself in real estate. It sounds like since you were freaking 18.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, sooner I had the passion. I found the passion early on. I would play those like Sims games and design my inside of my rooms and do floor plans. So, I mean, I was very aware that that's kind of my purpose in life and my passion. So when I found real estate, I was like, dude, where has this been? It happened so perfect. And I was just so fired up to learn more about it. I would buy all the books. I would listen to all the tapes. I would go to every single real estate investor club association. I didn't care if it was on the other side of town, another city. I was, like you said earlier, putting myself in a position to be able to reap some rewards because no one's going to come knocking on your door for a deal. Like no one's going to bring you a deal to your lap. You have to go out there and get it. That's just the only way.
The planter is rewarded with the harvest because he goes and plants the seed. And somebody like Adrian was planting seeds all over the place. And so now it's coming to fruition. So it took you a number of months. You go do your first deal, single family, single family, single family. I've heard this, and we don't have to, go through all those details, but just to highlight, you did transaction after transaction after transaction. What was it, or maybe high level volume wise? And then when was it that you just finally said, this is not the route to go? Why and when, that kind of thing?
Yeah. In the beginning, when I met my mentor, he was also kind of starting the company. He was starting his company. He had just met his business partner. So I was kind of helping them start their company, right? He had been doing real estate in New York. So he was already very familiar with the concept, just hadn't done much in San Antonio at the time. So that's kind of, I got plugged into a startup basically, and I was helping them create systems, and we were all learning from each other and working as a team. And then we picked up traction, and we started implementing some of the traction tactics. And I got started, really early on, figuring out how to run a real estate business. And I think that really helped me, the CRMs, the process, standard operating procedures, and all that stuff was very engraved in me. And we slowly started getting better and doing more deals. We got to the point where we were doing like 5 deals a month. So total deals that I've closed with them, me and them, about 65 deals that I did in about 3 years. I have a spreadsheet tracker of all the, addresses that I did. So yeah, it was about 65 and, 5,000, 10,000, 15, 10, 8, 4. I mean, it wasn't like a home run 6-figure deal like I've seen on multis. So, I mean, I think it was a lot of work. It was a lot of legwork. I had to babysit homeowners. I had to cry on their shoulders with them. I had to hear their sob stories. I had to move them out sometimes. So, I mean, I would do whatever it took to get the deal done.
Yeah.
And then, 65 deals later, 3 years later, we started flipping a couple of houses. I didn't really like it. And, my mentor and I just kind of had a different vision and nothing personal at all. And I just, kind of wanted something more passive income, more cash flow. And that's kind of when I started looking into multifamily, and I attended Brad Sumrock's event in Dallas a couple days. And I was like, wow, there was like 300 people in the room, and he broke it down so simple. And I said, this is all I need. I paid $100. I said, this is all I need. Yeah. I went home, bought a list, started sending cards, started calling owners, the same tactics I used in single family. I started using.
Yep.
And
that's perfect.
We started sending offers, and some stuck, and we sold them. So.
And there you go. And couple 6-figure deals later, and then cherry picking the deals that you want best. Exactly. And then going to get those deals done, raising some capital, putting a deal together. There's really, no difference between the 30, 50, 80 unit deal in terms of like the mechanics. You're finding the deal, analyzing the deal, putting it in an offer, whether you're doing it your own money or raising capital, maybe the syndication side is a little different, but I know you've syndicated some of the bigger ones, and all the way through, it's like, okay, cool. Buy it right, manage it right, and then exit it right. So that's really awesome. The fact that you guys took that action and just kind of made it happen.
Yeah.
I love it all.
Definitely learned a lot. I mean, I think a lot of people ask me, hey, should I buy a 100 unit? I mean, should I start small? Should I start, looking at 100, 50 unit deals? And I mean, I think, just whatever you can get into quick now, get into it. Like if you have an opportunity now to get into a 150 unit, get into it. If you have an opportunity now to get into a 12 unit, get into it and run it. Like, I mean, you'll learn so much by just running the deal. And, our 16 unit, we went through a couple property managers, and they weren't treating it as their own, right? Because it wasn't, right? They were just percentage based. And so, I found myself micromanaging, and that's when, Mauricio and I kind of, said, hey, you know what, let's start our own. And we took it all in house, and we've been great ever since. So
yeah,
I always recommend just get it started, get in, and you're going to learn so much. It's very hard to lose money in real estate. Like, you have to really buy wrong. Even if you break even, you made money. Like, seriously.
There you go. I love it. Well, and each one of these deals, when I look at the notes again, it's a 400K increase in value, excuse me, a 700K increase in value, a 650 or a couple hundred grand increase in value, a couple six-figure deal here, a six-figure deal there. Investors are making money all the way through the process. So let's talk about, how you made that transition from then till today. Like what are you doing today? Adrian Salazar is not, 18 years old anymore. And now, coming into that, sweet spot freaking age, you're grinder, working your tail off hard. You've got some means now, some of this cash. What are you doing today? And then maybe we'll talk about your next steps, man.
Sure. Yeah, I'm refining right now. My main focus is to refine my acquisitions machine, because my thing is finding deals. I don't wait for deals to hit my email. I've never been that type of person. I go out and find them. I play offense. So I'm actually currently switching from Podio CRM to a Zoho CRM. I have a developer working on a workspace on a face. With automations, workflows, drip campaigns, everything is being tied to this acquisitions machine that I'm building out right now. My plan is to, create relationships with every single owner in every major market in the United States of America, and be able to have, a pipeline full at all times, whether we're buying or wholesaling, to just maintain first dibs on off-market deals. And I'm also, raising money now. I'm talking to people, at all times, traveling, meeting people, investors, and having high-level conversations with them, for them to earn my trust, to be able to invest in my deals later on. More high value stuff. We still operate the portfolio, but now we have a team that I don't have to be running around leasing units anymore. Definitely graduated from that, but more high level, finding deals, negotiating, getting contracts, and refining systems and creating, processes of things, higher level stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
it's
good
fun
stuff. So let me frame this too, because we have both passive investors that are listening and also general partners that, I would say probably are similar first, second, third deal. I want to get my, continue on to scale, right? For those passive investors, you're trying to figure out or find out which team you should invest in, and it being a super important, factor to success. They're the ones that are managing your money. So when you have individuals like Adrian that has been immersed in commercial real estate for years, learned different strategies and techniques, don't think that it's so different than what you're doing in your professional career, because in your profession, it's sales, it's operations, and it's marketing, right? It's like, I got to market, I got to get exposure, sales, maybe I got to close one way or the other. And then I got to, I got to operate the business. I got to take care of what I have. And all these things that Adrian is mentioning, Podio, Zoho, the CRM, marketing, it comes down to lists, names and numbers, people that own properties, and how many touches are you going to have at the top of the funnel, and to give you your opportunities down the funnel, and then you close them and you buy the right ones with the right basis, and then you go win, right? So the better you can do at that front end, or the better operation, the more refined your system is on the front end, the more real deals are going to come out at the end of the funnel, right?
Yeah. System, guys. System stands for save yourself time, energy, and money.
I love it.
If you create systems, things can roll. People can see the system. If you leave, like my business partner always says, if you get kidnapped by the aliens today, what's going to happen, right? And we have a system that tracks everything that's lastly done and stuff. So
yeah, I'm saying this again and try to type it out. Save yourself time, energy, and money. Yeah. System, baby. Look at that. And that's the truth of it, is because, Adrian's still one guy at the end run of it. So, well, how does he scale? He builds a system. He, maps it out maybe in his mind, puts it out on paper, goes and executes each one, maybe trains or provides some insight or guidance to, each one of those tactics. He mentioned virtual assistants, he started leveraging those when he was much younger, 18, 19. I didn't find that till I was 40. And, so those are the things are like, man, how do people do that? And anyways, it's remarkable and it's awesome. And it's awe inspiring, man. Cause I'm excited to see where you're going to be in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. No. And I mean, this for the passive investors on the show and stuff, you want to make sure you know who you're investing with. Right. And ask them, hey, what if things go wrong? Like today, I was meeting with a couple of investors who I'm looking to raise some money for. And I said, dude, don't ask me if everything's going right. Ask me if it's going wrong, what's going to happen? What's your, contingency plan? What's your, way out in the case? And ask those questions to those GPs because, they have to have an answer. And I mean, you're investing with them. And I mean, the track record too, I think, it's very important for, GPs and any active team on the show or in real estate in general, maintain a high level of their personal brand. I mean, you have to make sure your reputation stays very high because in the very beginning, people invest in you, not in the deal. And so if you've, screwed people over or if you're, money driven and you're trying to squeeze everything out of, the dollar, it's you're not going to last. So make sure, as passive investors, like what the GP's track record is and make sure you trust them very well.
Yeah. Well said, man. Well said. Which is kind of funny because I'm now working with Adrian, which is super exciting. Right. And I met Adrian in that hustle and grind mode, networking. And part of the planting seeds was like, man, you got to plant and you never know where you're going to reap. I don't know how long it was. We met a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years.
A local coffee at the coffee shop. Yeah.
A local coffee in San Antonio. And, it's funny enough, it starts as a Facebook post where I'm putting hey, is anybody doing multifamily in this group? I'd like to chat. And, he's one of the ones that I'm doing multifamily. Okay, well, let's go meet. And we start building a conversation, a relationship. And, it's like multiple deals. Hey, tell me about your next deal. What are you doing? Watching them on social, back and forth. And that is like trust. It took a while for us to say, yeah, I trust you, trust me, know you, brand, reputation. Okay, let's go. It doesn't happen like overnight. And that's another thing is like, man, who you partner with, or did they meet at a, meetup yesterday and are they raising capital tomorrow? So it's different, right? So you got to make sure, you're vetting, the partners out. And anyways.
Yeah, no, one big thing too, to that's helped me is the database. I think in real estate, one of the most important things is your database. And so those coming in or those already in, and find a way to put all your contacts in something and track them because you're going to meet a bunch of people. And like Abel was saying, I mean, it's not overnight success. None of this stuff is overnight. It's 7 years of grind, so throughout these 7 years, I want to make sure I'm maintaining these relationships with these people, and you can do that through the CRMs and stuff. But the database is super, super important. We're not running sprints here, we're running marathons. So, making sure that you're creating relationships every single day, selling yourself and putting them in a system, in a database and touching them. I saw some of your newsletters. They look great, man. They look great. That's perfect stuff.
Thank you.
That's perfect stuff.
Hello. You're listening to the 5Talents podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. If you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you're serious about achieving financial freedom. Are you ready to create your own path through multifamily investing for yourself and your family? Then I know you're going to appreciate our Investor's Guide to Multifamily Investing. It's titled Tackling Commercial Real Estate the Easy Way. We use this guide to invest ourselves in $93 million worth of real estate. So we're going to show you the basic mechanics of multifamily syndications and how to evaluate your next passive investment opportunity. So the best part, if you subscribe to our podcast now, leave us a review and a rating. I'm going to give you a free copy of our ebook. So please take a moment to do that now. Once you've done that, go to 5tcre.com/ebook, 5tcre.com/ebook. Make sure to let us know you left a review and we're going to send you a free copy. So thank you so much for subscribing to the 5Talents podcast. We really appreciate it. You know what? And this is a good conversation to continue on, because let's say someone's a passive investor and you think maybe in the future, maybe I want to go lead a deal, which means whether you're a co-sponsor or sponsor, you're probably going to raise some capital on this deal. And, in that mindset, what Adrian's talking about, Podio, Zoho, the CRM, your database, if you have name, contact number, email, and some notes on who they are, what they're doing, how they're doing it, these are all people that you can stay in touch with, and you never know where your next 100K, $1 million, $10 million opportunity is going to come from. And especially if you stay in touch with everyone as a passive investor, don't push this off and say, oh, you're just another passive investor, or you're just another whatever it is, general partner in some market that I'm not going to invest in. You never know. Like if you keep track of everyone that you meet and kind of keep on those relationships, you never know what you're going to be doing tomorrow. Right.
Yeah. And don't wait for the deal to come. I mean, you're raising money every day. You got to raise money every single day. You don't wait until you have a deal. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just one of those things that you have to keep them involved. And people always ask me, like, what if I have no track record, or what if I haven't done a deal before? Then leverage another OM, someone's OM, and say, hey, look, these are the types of properties that I'm looking for right now. And these are the types of properties that I'm going to be buying. And these are the returns that more or less I'm going to be chasing. Right. So leverage other people's projects and say, look, these are the types of deals that I'm looking for right now. Is this something that, it's in line with your goals? And if it is, I mean, just keep them informed and keep sending them stuff. I mean, that's the only way to do it, and build your database. The money's in the database.
Yeah, I agree 100%. There's an easy, few step formula. And one of the first steps that I tell people that want to be new general partners and trying to break in, first one, I say invest passively if you can. If you have the money, go do that. If you don't, do what Adrian did and go, help build someone else's business. You'll get in somewhere. And if you're doing that, now you can leverage your offering memorandum, just like Adrian said, and you start talking to other people. And the second part is like, go be a small percentage partner on someone else's deal. And then eventually, you can, lead your own deal. Adrian took a different path, but there's a few, still very repeatable systematic steps that you can go follow. He was like, I'm just going to go find my own deal. And here's his steps that he did. So there's no like one right way to do it, but none of those paths will work unless you take action.
Yeah. And I mean, as a passive investor too, I mean, you have, let's say you have 50K, you want to invest somewhere. And I mean, you want to get into multifamily, but haven't found a deal or something. Those 50K that you're going to invest in that property, you're going to start seeing, reports. You're going to start seeing, P&Ls. You're going to start seeing, your K1s. You're going to start seeing the progress. You can ask questions. All my investors, feel free. I mean, they haven't called me to ask too many questions because they're very, very, busy and passive. But I mean, I'd love to share with them everything. I mean, you're in the deal now. So it's a great way to start learning apartment investing, even being a passive.
Yeah. And if you are a passive investor that wants to be a GP, I call this active passive. I was an active passive in my partner's deal. So for those that know, I've partnered with Devin Elder more than a few times. And that was one of the names that I heard Adrian say when we met at that local coffee. He goes, "Oh, you're working with Devin?" I've worked with Devin on a number of deals. And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. We already have an established a little bit of extra trust." But anyways, I was a passive investor, and I learned through that process, and I was trying to be as active as possible. And now today I love passive investors that want to become active because I enjoy teaching, coaching, mentoring. I want to help others have basically repeat the same success I did. And eventually, just like I am with my, partners, I want to go be the deal finder. I want to leverage them as my key principal, and I want them, to win with me. And that's where I want to end up also. Like the people that I coach, train, help, invest with me. Eventually I want them to go find the deal, and I'd love them to invite me as the key principal, so it's just a matter of time and cycle and where you find it. So, yeah.
And I'm also, super interested in investing passively in other deals. Like, because I know apartments, I know, what they do, and I know these operators. So, I mean, my money is safe with these guys. So, I mean, I still love both aspects of it, Yeah,
absolutely. Well, this is awesome, man. So we've talked on a number of topics. The next moving forward for you, you've done some amazing things already, and it seems like you're building momentum, bigger, better, more profitable, however you want to look at it. Every transaction, every cycle has more wisdom, knowledge, and expertise that you're putting into it. What are the next steps for you? What direction are you headed now?
Sure. Yeah. I haven't said this, I don't think, on a podcast, but for those of you guys who know who Blackstone is, it's a very big real estate hedge fund, private equity fund. That's my next step. So I want to start a hedge fund, and start picking up properties all throughout the U.S. and diversify a little bit into other markets, maybe other asset types, and start raising some massive amount of money from like big corporations. So that's kind of my 5-year, 10-year picture that I'm going to start working on 2021. And so going to get all that in line. Me and my business partner, we've already kind of started doing a little bit of research. We'll probably start connecting with some attorneys and figure out what kind of legal stuff we need to get put together. But that stuff I think is my bigger vision, and that's kind of my big project that I'm going to be working on. At the same time, still looking for deals, still maintaining to the operations on these deals, wholesaling still to get some more liquid capital. And I mean, travel. I want to travel. I want to, scuba dive in all the major, scuba diving locations in the world.
I just saw some scuba pictures from you.
Yeah, I went scuba diving with some sea lions the other day. That was epic. But yeah, and I mean, just continue impacting people. I mean, I think also want to bring some more people onto the team as callers, as deal finders, and help them buy their first deal. Employ more people. I want to build a big company that that is feeding people, right? I mean, bringing money home to their families and stuff. And also not only that, but learning real estate. I want to create a corporation like Blackstone where, they also teach real estate, and they teach these people how to own some rentals. And, because I mean, I think it's very important for everybody to own at least one piece of real estate throughout their lifetime. And I mean, we definitely also want to incorporate some sort of like retirement funds with our, GP percentages in the company. We want to, pay back the employees, give them some sort of benefits. So, I mean, definitely I want to do it for the people, and I want to make a bigger impact coming these next few years.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Congratulations on everything thus far and your continued fun success. That sounds exciting. One of my advisors is Ryan Smith. He's got like $700 million under management, through funds, right? And he said he had somebody come and tell him, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to go create this $30 million fund, whatever, this big crazy number. And he goes, whoa, let me just tell you that my first fund was like $2 million. And that was a lot of years ago. And he's like, then we had success, and then we went to 4. They went to 6 to 8 to 10, and now they're in a position they raise millions of dollars like on a weekly basis, right? And so that run doesn't start at like $700 million. It starts at, for him it was 2. For me it'll be 1, right? We're doing a fund right now, and cool. So it's kind of exciting and fun for us. But tell us about the diversification aspect of funds, and maybe we can talk about this for a couple of minutes because I'm excited. Why? Sure. There's one property, man, we have success. But what's the diversification aspect of a fund?
Sure. I mean, I think, mobile home parks, eventually, maybe some storage units, maybe some, mixed developments along those lines. Maybe even, some houses, some single families, just throw them into that portfolio to just help, offset anything else. I mean, because I know houses, I know there's so much money to be made in there. And I know a lot of millionaires who own rentals, and they're in the single family space. So I'm not going to be one to say it doesn't work. So, I mean, I definitely want to diversify into those asset classes, but primarily still buy C, B class properties and reposition and renovate, because I think increasing the value and appreciating that asset forcefully by raising rents, decreasing expenses, increasing NOI, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. I love it. You can, amplify your efforts, diversify across, many asset classes if that's, what you want to do, or cities or property types or whatever. So that's awesome, man. And, at what we're doing today as well, trying to draw traffic, attention, exposure, even on this. So I do want to talk about this before you go. You spent a lot of time, effort, and energy finding new properties. What are the things that you're doing to find new investors?
Sure. So I think social media is a very powerful tool. Things like, like your podcast. I'm very happy to hop on people's podcasts because, shortly after every podcast I'm on, people will schedule calls on my Calendly link, and I'm, on the phone with a new person. So, doing that, a lot of social media stuff, a lot of networking. I try to go to a lot of networking events, a lot of, now it's Zoom events, but try to get on as many events as I can, meet new people, private message people. I have like, a hot lead, potential passives, like soft lead. So I work them depending on the bucket that I put them in. And I always also ask them like, hey, would you be able to refer me somebody that I could hop on a quick 20, 30-minute call with and share this opportunity with them? I have a goal of hitting 20 a week and I'm at 15. I need 5 more people. Can you point me in a couple friends' directions? And more than most, they recommend me to a couple people, and I hop on calls. And I mean,
that's awesome.
That's all it is. You sell yourself. I mean, you know what you know, right? I'm not making anything up. I'm not being rah. I'm being real. And I mean, you're in or you're out. And if you're out, you're just out for now because you're going to invest in my deal 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And so, I mean, it's just one of those things that you just have to, like we were talking about earlier, you have to keep hitting them. You have to keep, providing value, maybe some videos, so those newsletters. I mean, a lot of stuff needs to be going on in order for you to be able to raise a significant amount of money for syndication. I mean, it's not just going to come like we were talking about, knocking on your door.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to go after it. At providing education, like Adrian is saying, or value is like super valuable. Hopefully you're listening right now. You're like, oh, this is good information that Adrian just dropped a bunch of wisdom and a bunch of gold nuggets, everywhere. And man, this is, the value of creating that, kind of a platform and giving back like Adrian does. And now, it comes back around to the people that want to invest with him. And then also his deals are going full cycle, meaning they're selling. And now investors have more money and they're like, hey, dude, I need to get this right back in a deal. Yeah. And that was a big way that, Ryan mentioned is like his 2 turns to 4. And now the 4 needs a home. And now 4 becomes 8. And, it amplifies. So the investors that you make a lot of money, they're going to want to invest with you again. And so we're excited to help you do that. Right?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. I mean, there's no other way. I mean, success is not going to come just randomly. You gotta go out and get it. And you gotta, I think it's really important what you do when no one's looking. All that is what matters. I don't care about the shows. I don't care about the speaking events. What you do when no one is looking is what matters, because that's when you get on a podcast. That's when you start listening to podcasts, reading books, running through scenarios on paper, maybe even create a business plan for a 88 unit that you see on LoopNet. Just go through the pictures and start creating a business plan. I mean, something, start practicing, know?
So how did you find that deal that we're all working on now?
It was about 2 years ago. So interesting. 2 years ago, we got the lead, Mauricio and I walked the deal. There was 80% occupancy. There was 20 units vacant, and we couldn't make the numbers work at what the owner was asking because of the, occupancy rate. The loan, I mean, we weren't going to be able to get a loan for it. So it was, we kind of put it on the back burner, and we circled back around with the owner about 8 months ago, and still 80% occupied, 20 units vacant. And I said, dude, what's going on here? Because my business partner and I, this is the next, jump of property. I mean, we have a 16, a 32, a 7, a 9. So this is the next jump. So I really wanted to make it happen. So we went in there and negotiated with the owner. to be able to implement our property management system. So I took 3 contractors over there. I took 3 cleaning ladies over there. I took leasing agents. I took the whole thing over there with the owner's permission and rented 12 units in a week and got it under contract.
I love it, dude.
So, I mean, I didn't, the thing is, my business partner and I, we don't make excuses. I mean, let's figure it out. And I think those are the best ones too, because other people are going to go by and see 20%, vacancy and, oh, I'm going to pass. Those are the ones that you can make really good money on, and the diamonds in the rough, and I mean, it was very, very interesting concept. Now, the thing is though, now we know the units. I've been into every single, apartment that we renovated. I know, where the electrical panel is. I know exactly all the systems in the unit. And I mean, now it's just a plug and play. When we close, we're just going to hit the ground running. So
yeah.
Very interesting concept. Yeah.
I loved your due diligence process, man. You went through every inch of that property and just kind of overlooking at Adrian's, everything he's doing. I'm like, yeah, expert pro. You can tell there's 7 years plus of experience walking through multiple properties, and then the system, the checklist, all the way through the top to bottom, which is really professional. Program. And I've seen professional property managers go out, and I've been, on site with them as we walk 120 or 200, all these many multiple unit properties. And I go, oh, that's same system, same program, same approach. I love it. And to hear that the deal that, you're now going after, which is one of your biggest ones, was created from an original conversation back then. Did you say 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
So 2 years ago, you're probably looking at this property like, man, we can go get this one. It may be one day, if not today. And then there it is. It's like you willed that into existence.
The fortunes in the follow-up.
Yeah. Continue on. And then what I like, when I heard the tenacity of kind of how you guys are going after it, I was like, man, I got to get in this deal one way or the other. Tenacious was, there was trust was established, previous conversations. They knew, like, and trusted you. There's not very many owners that are very, say, yeah, come on into my property. We haven't closed, but feel free, start working on it. And you did. And then there's not very many teams that would also say, yeah, let me work for free in advance of closing, because I could lose out on this deal.
Yeah.
And you guys are like, no, we'll make it happen.
Well, we got $300 per unit lease and $350 for a construction management fee for the unit. So
there you go.
Almost $600-$700 per unit, and I did 12 of those in a week. So
you pay for your time at least. You pay for your time at least. Yeah, right. Well, that's good. And that, pushed it up, because the difference for those new general partners or even passive investors, when that property is not 90% occupied, it's not stabilized. And so if it's not stabilized, you're looking at a bridged loan or a bridge type of, debt financing. And the bridge terms are, a little higher interest. They're shorter term. They're meant for a quick shot. But during COVID, starting in March, they fell out, so you're like, whoa, you didn't have any. And unless the property was like, let's say $7-10 million or greater, you had a couple of bridge lenders, but the mass majority of them fell off. And so it was not an easily closed deal in this time during COVID. We record this in November-ish time, right, of 2020. And so that was the hard part. And Adrian and his partner just kind of go in and say, you know what, I know how to make this a deal. We'll go and do the work ourselves, create it. And now it's, stabilized property, and it qualifies for agency, 98% 98% occupied. And I guarantee you that, looking at the numbers, we didn't pay for 98% occupancy. We paid for that, lower underwriting. And so, man, that's just awesome. That's amazing, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you either make excuses or you make money. You can't do both.
Dude, I love it. Excuses or money. You can't make both. What a tremendous mindset. Well, man, if our listeners, our viewers, whether on YouTube or podcast, whatever, how how do we get a hold of you? What's the best way to get into your world?
Sure. So I think I'm most active on my Instagram page. That's kind of where I put all my stories, my walkthroughs, my lessons learned. I mean, you can kind of see my journey on the first property we bought. So I'm very active on Instagram. If you message me, I'll respond. You can also email me, adrian@optimumbuyers.com. We'll set up a call, quick 15-20 minute intro if you guys want some more info. But yeah, just follow me on social media, pretty active there, and just reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out. I'd love to help you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there anything else we didn't talk about today that you wanted to bring some exposure to? Anything I was hoping I asked and didn't, or if not, any last parting words here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the last parting words that I would say is you can only grow as big as you are personally. So I think before you start trying to, go all in on real estate, you gotta figure out who you are first. You gotta get personally, personal growth is what I call it. Read the books, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, Magic of Thinking Big, Think and Grow Rich, all those, How to Win Friends and Influence People. You have to really read all those basic books and understand those concepts, because you can only grow as big as you are, right? And the goal is to get, bigger. And so, I mean, keep personally developing, and real estate is just the vehicle. So that will get you wherever you want to go, and take massive action.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Thank you very much for your time today, Adrian. It's been a pleasure. And I really enjoyed speaking with you, man. You brought a lot of value. So if you're listening and you're not in the car or not running, I would go hit rewind on this episode and get out your pen and piece of paper. There's more than a few nuggets to take down here. So thank you very much. Again, my name is Abel Pacheco. I'm your host for the 5Talents podcast. And if you heard something you appreciated today, reach out to Adrian. And then also for our podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review us. Give us some feedback. We'd love it. And we appreciate your time. See you in the next episode. Thanks for your time, Adrian.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Laters.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the 5Talents podcast with your host, myself, Abel Pacheco. Each week, we're going to bring you interviews from industry experts and commercial real estate investors who follow their dreams and achieve massive success. Before you leave, let me ask you a few questions. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you learn something valuable? Was your mind stretched to what's possible and what you can achieve? Do you want other experts just like the one you heard today? If you answered yes to any or all of those questions, then please take a moment to subscribe to the 5Talents podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and most importantly, leave us a written review. Tell us what you liked, tell us your favorite guest, give us any feedback. I'm excited to learn and improve so you can get a more valuable show. So thank you again for subscribing to the 5Talents podcast.